This is the film that the Royal Mint doesn't want you to see.
There was a break-in, right? The police wouldn't tell us anything.
Now please, will you just leave me alone?
Please shoot him.
Julian Dean was found dead. Was he murdered? Or was it just a tragic accident?
It's wrong.
How much is it worth? Priceless.
Looking for Gants.
Looking for Gants. This is the film the Royal Mint doesn't want you to see. Behind me lies the building where the entirety of the British currency originates. It represents the cornerstone of British independence from its European neighbours. Indeed, the safety and security of our nation relies upon the integrity and authenticity of its produce. Quite simply, this establishment cannot allow for any mistakes. What I am about to reveal is potentially damaging to the powers that be. It may cause shockwaves through the exchequer. It could even result in Britain joining the European single currency. This is the story of the £2 coin. It's also the story of the Gant. On all £2 coins, the rim reads, "Standing on the shoulders of giants," a phrase coined by Sir Isaac Newton and well known to scientists since 1675. But on just under 500 of these coins, the I in giants is missing, making these coins read, "Standing on the shoulders of Gants." It also makes these coins absolutely priceless.
The real story of the Gant came to light on the At the Races horse racing channel, when an anonymous caller informed the racing team of the missing letter on approximately 500 £2 coins that had, unfortunately for the Royal Mint, found their way into circulation. Gamblers are always trying ingenious new ways of making a quick buck. The story soon surfaced on Betfair Betting Exchange Forum, and also onto a number of internet forums which specialise in rare coins.
It escalated, as these things often do, rather rapidly, but then something unexpected happened. Within hours, the Royal Mint's official website released a statement dismissing the speculation as wild Chinese whispers. They also stated,
This is a persistent rumour that appears to start for no particular reason. It is an urban myth.
Why did the Royal Mint move to dismiss such a rumour so quickly? And less than 3 weeks later, more quashing of the rumour was deemed necessary.
We had originally thought that within a few weeks this particular rumour would die a natural death, but unfortunately it appears to have started to replicate itself, and we still receive numerous telephone calls and emails about it.
The Royal Mint's website ended with a rather strange request.
If you know the person responsible for this rumour, please shoot him.
Not really the way for the Royal Mint to behave, do you think? Neither did we. Then we heard about Julian Dean. Julian Dean worked at the Mint from August 1985 until he was sacked in September 1998. 2 days after he was terminated from the Mint, Julian Dean was found dead. Apparently he crashed his car here on this country road in the early hours of the morning. The coroner's report stated that his death was caused by losing control of his vehicle whilst travelling at a suicidal speed for the road conditions.
The report also indicated that Mr. Dean was heavily under the influence of alcohol at the time of his death. His mother, on the other hand, has been arguing this point ever since.
He didn't drink. He couldn't drink. He was allergic to it. It made him violently ill. It's wrong. It's just not possible.
Mrs. Dean's statement was reiterated by Julian's fiancée, Paula Webster, who also told us of a break-in at their flat.
Can we talk to you again? Can we ask about the night of the break-in? There was a break-in. right? The police wouldn't tell us what was taken.
Look, nothing was taken. That was what was so odd. But the night before he died, he told me that he knew who's responsible for the break-in, but wouldn't tell me who it was. He couldn't tell me who it was. You know, they made out that he was supposed to be drunk. Now, please, just leave me alone.
Was he responsible for the Gants, Miss Webster?
Look, if you have any more questions, perhaps you should go and ask the Royal Mint.
Get that? Let's go and ask the Royal Mint.
So where did the saying "standing on the shoulders of giants" actually come from? And why was it on the coin in the first place? To answer these and other questions, we spoke with Professor David Leving.
Nobody doubts that it was in a letter that Newton sent to Hooke on the 15th of February, 1676. But not many people realise the whole content of the letter. Let me read it to you. What Descartes did was a good step. You have added much several ways. If I have seen a little further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. A few years before that, they fell out. In 1672, Newton published a paper on the subject of white light and colour. Hooke, in his capacity as curator of scientific experiments, wrote to him and criticised it both for its presentation and content. So, was this letter, 4 years later, an attempt to, I don't know, get things back together on an even keel? Was Newton criticising Hooke or attempting to praise him? Now, the supporters of Hooke have another theory altogether. Hooke was not known as a large, muscular man. Most contemporary accounts thought he was almost close to a dwarf. So was it possible that Newton was saying something rather sarcastic and something rather sneering? Let me read it again while you consider that meaning. If I have seen a little further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. In other words, not weedy little scientists like you. Isaac Newton was actually made warden and then master of the Mint. And so, if the Royal Mint were looking for somebody from the past who had made some kind of contribution, it would be natural to pick somebody who had been master or warden. As for the value of the coin, how much is it worth? Priceless. There's no other word for it. Not really. Nothing quite like this has been heard of in years, not in coinage. The Gant is the only thing that the dealers are talking about at the moment. Who's got one? Where can I acquire one? They borrow or steal just to be able to hold one in their hands for a minute or two. I know an American dealer who has in his possession a check for $9 million. He's so keen to be the first to claim one. There are cynics out there, of course there are. Why not? Not many people have seen one. But the people in the know, the dealers, they don't think it's true. They know it's true. The Hooke manuscript went for auction just recently for 1.7 mil. If the Gant turns up, when the Gant turns up, it could be, well, as I say, priceless. We're talking 4 or 5 million pounds. Plus.
A few weeks later, and we contacted a London radio station. They very kindly agreed to discuss the matter live on air with their listeners to find out how many had heard of the Gants story. We were amazed to discover that many had, and one particular caller had a very interesting story to tell.
About 3 months since, right, I was an Oasis gig, yeah?
Right.
At the end of the set, their drummer, Zach Starkey, you know,
Yeah, Ringo, yeah.
He asked everybody to take the pockets £2 coins, yeah? And to throw them into a bucket, like, you know, on stage.
Right.
And he didn't say why, like. But everybody threw them in anyway. And he got quite a lot, but he got a fair few.
Maybe he's a collector. Doesn't Ringo, what does he collect, postcards or something? Probably runs in the family.
Yeah, I don't want to know, mate. But anyway, when I was at the bar, he came over for a drink, like. And I asked him what it were all about. And he said he were looking for Gants. That's what he said. That's the way he said it. Looking for Gants. That is what he called them.
Then, something incredible happened.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, alright, I'll speak to you then. Okay. Are you getting this, yeah?
Yeah, I just want you to get this on the... That was Professor Leving. He couldn't really talk now, but he's been going through the Hook manuscript, the one that's been found, and Hook had a mistress who was called Emily Gantry, but he had a nickname for her, and there's letters where he wrote her, personal letters, and he had a nickname for her. It was Gant. It says, "Dear Gant." We wanted to find out more about this Emily Gantry, so we got in touch with the journalist and historian Jonathan Lovett.
It's fair to say that Hook was utterly smitten by Emily Gantry. He was totally bowled over, desperately in love. He hadn't had much luck with women, and for a small price, Gantry provided every kind of respite from his work and his increasingly hostile arguments with Sir Isaac Newton. Their relationship lasted for 3 quite intense years until Gantry, or Gants as we now know he nicknamed her, was taken ill and died from consumption. Hook never recovered from this. He was devastated, as you can imagine, and he erected a small monument to her here in Forty Hall. Unfortunately, through age, decay and vandalism, that monument's no more. However, I believe the best, most ingenious commemoration is standing on the shoulders of Gants, which I believe must have been created by someone who knew the story of Robert Hook and Emily Gantry and just felt sorry for the nearly man. I believe Hook would have really loved that.
So, was Julian Dean responsible for creating the Gant in the first place? Is that the reason he was sacked? Is that the reason he was murdered? Was he murdered? Or was it some tragic accident? Could the Treasury actually be involved? Or was it the work of a private investor desperate for Dean's knowledge? Was Robert Hook's mistress's name a reprisal for the slight Hook suffered at the pen of Sir Isaac Newton 350 years earlier? Or was it all just a very, very strange coincidence? Or, finally, is it all a carefully crafted ruse by the Mint to bolster Sterling's popularity? Whatever the truth, one thing's for certain. The people of Great Britain will never stop looking for Gants.
I've heard they're a myth. I know there's definitely a website about it though. I've seen it on the internet.
Oh, I see. So that means that they're not worth £2 then. If there's something missing, there's something wrong with them. Yeah, but you can easily fix it, can't you? I mean, you take a pin and give it a little scratch, and you can put the extra eye in.
That'd be funny if you told me about it and I had a £2 coin with me.
And then if you try and, pass it over into a shop or something, I mean, who's going to notice? Quickly change it so that no one notices. And then, well, if you get caught, tough shit.
Well, that doesn't even say anything about giants. It says so many irons in the fire. Is that worth any money?
Well, I better go home and have a look then.
I'm a coin collector. I'm a postmaster. I've been collecting coins as it comes. I have a good collection. Good that you told me. I'd like to check my collection and see whether I got the coin.
We're looking for Gants.
When you're doing that, was Paula Webster on the phone. She wants us to go and meet her. Pack your stuff up. We've got to go and do this now. So why couldn't we do this on the telephone? What do you want to tell me? Do you think your fiancé was murdered? What were you saying? What are we doing here?
Why don't you ask him yourself?